am coming to you from my basement this time, so a little bit different scenery for you. Pardon me. It is Tuesday afternoon at 4 o'clock, so it looks like we're about to have storms, so I'm really hoping that I get through this reading without any tornado sirens going off, but at least we're in the basement. If I do, we can just keep going. We are on page 264, getting very close to the end. This is called A Dying Breath, August 7th, 1936. Okay, when we last left off, Ned sounded pretty worried and even went so far as to get a message to his dad about how much he loved him. School's going to be starting before long, and we'll have nothing to show for our summer of spy hunting, Letty said after we clambered up the rickety rope ladder to the treehouse, carrying a tin of buttermilk biscuits for our afternoon snack. In fact, I'd be ready to think the rattler has been long gone or buried if it wasn't for the note we found on the tree trunk. The one that said, "Leave well enough alone." Letty's eyes grew wide. Now there's an idea. Maybe the rattler's dead and buried and left us that note. Remember Uncle Louver's story about the ghostly figure moving about in the woods? For gosh sakes, Letty, we all saw it. We all read it. I've still got it right here in the cigar box, I said. Are the words still on it, or have they disappeared, Letty asked. Ruth Ann rolled her eyes. I took the crumpled note from the box and widened my eyes in amazement. There's nothing here. It's blank. What? Ruth Ann snatched the note away from me. She stared in disbelief at the blank paper. Then she flipped it over. Oh, very funny. It's on the other side. Letty and I laughed. Ruth Ann didn't find it funny. Don't get your knickers in a knot, Ruth Ann. It's too hot for that. The note lay on the floor in the middle of us, and we stared at the 4 words, each one capitalized. Leave well enough alone. The words taunted us, dared us. We've got to come up with a plan, said Ruth Ann, something clever and resourceful that'll shine a light on the person who wrote this note. Yeah, but what if he's somebody really nasty like James Cagney in Public Enemy, said Letty. Remember when he smashed a grapefruit in May Clark's face? Of course, in G-Men, he was on the other side of the law as Britt Davis. What do you think he'd do? These are movies that they're referring to. He'd use his Tommy gun, and by the end, the whole town would be dead or in jail, said Ruth Ann. No, it has to be something sneakier and not so bloody. Ruth Ann turned her attention to me. What would Jinx do, Abilene? It was strange. I'd been wondering the same thing. The answer was simple. He'd come up with some fancy scheme to trick the rattler into giving himself away. You know, a con. Like, Letty and Ruth Ann asked in unison. Well, let me think. I felt I knew Jinx well enough to put myself in his shoes. What would he do? Then I smiled. This is kind of like being a diviner. Do you have a bauble? I asked in Miss Sadie's Hungarian accent, making my voice thick and husky. Letty and Ruth Ann just stared at me in confusion. A totem, a trinket, something belonging to the person in question. I said the word question like it had a V in it. Question. Letty jumped with excitement. The note. Here, use the note. I took the paper and made a big show of smoothing out the wrinkles on the treehouse floorboards. Then I took a deep breath and pondered the note. What is it? What do you see? Asked Letty. She sees a girl who will believe anything, Ruth Ann said, rolling her eyes. Oh, for heaven's sake, Ruth Ann, I know she's just putting on, but I can play along, can't I? Silence! I held up my hand. The spirits are thinking. I looked intently at the note, holding it up to the light as if it would shout an answer at me. And then it darn near did. Hey, I said, the handwriting. What about it? Ruth Ann said. I knew a lady once, Miss Leeds in Springfield, Illinois. She could tell all manner of things about people just by the way they tapped out their messages on a telegraph machine. So you can tell who the rattler is just by looking at the handwriting, Letty asked. No, but just like telegraphing, it's different from one person to another. Handwriting is too. See here? I pointed to the note. See how these letters are straight up and down, plodding across the page? And at the end of each word, the last letter trails off like it's giving out its dying breath. Why, you're right, Letty said in admiration. So we should go door to door and ask everyone to write the same words as on this note, and we'll see whose matches up. Letty paused. But how are we going to get everyone to write it down? I answered before Ruth Ann could jump on her. We won't have them write these words. They'll write something else. My mind was racing. Anybody seen Billy Clayton today? He's over at the schoolyard. Sister Redempta's got him fixing the fence he ran into on his bike. Ruth Ann perked up an eyebrow. Why? Because Hattie Mae's having a contest. She just doesn't know it yet. Okay, so Hattie Mae is having a contest. She just doesn't know it yet. Do you think setting up some kind of a con that's a contest might be part of the plan? Hattie Mae's News Auxiliary, August 9th, 1936. To the faithful readers of Hattie Mae's News Auxiliary, first an explanation and then an announcement. Many apologies for the mix-up last week. Uncle Henry set out a stack of old newspapers, from 1918 to be exact, to be stored in the shed out back. We all know that man can't part with a penny or a paper. Anyway, Fred got the papers as far as the back door when his lumbago set in. Of course, I had to get him home to bed, even though my knees have been no great shakes lately. Fred's never been a silent sufferer, but for better or worse, right, ladies? Well, I guess it's asking too much for Billy Clayton to actually read the papers he delivers. I'm assuming he's got bad eyes as he hits the bushes and the roof as often as the porches of our house. For those of you who thought that we were back at war with the Huns, that Woodrow Wilson was still president, and that you could buy a washing machine for $14, wake up and smell the Depression. Still, it was a hoot seeing the hats that were in fashion at the millinery. Remember the styles for men? Those stiff celluloid collars around the necks and the spats around their ankles and the lace-up boots we women used to wear? Lord have mercy. Remember when Manifest boasted citizens of 20 different nationalities? When you could walk down Main Street and smell Mama Santoni's warm bread instead of dust and wind? Listening to the Caruso sing Eyes of Blue on the Victrola? Look up what a Victrola is. When we all bought Liberty bonds to support our brave soldiers over there? This brings me to the announcement. Due to Fred's injury, his bad back, and the fact that his mother is coming in from Springfield to help in quotes, I will be taking a sabbatical from Hattie Mae's News Auxiliary. However, some of our younger patrons wanted to know more about our fair town back in the day. So at their suggestion, we are inaugurating the Manifest Herald's Remember When contest. Write up a favorite memory from 1918 in your best handwriting and submit it to the Manifest Herald by Friday, August 23rd. We'll run as many as we can, but the winner will receive a $5 cash prize. I asked Uncle Henry for 10, but read the above. He can't part with a paper or a penny, remember? Good luck, and as always, for all the who's, what's, whys, whens, and wheres you can't find in the rest of this nickel and dime paper, turn to Hattie Mae Mackey, reporter about town. Okay, so the girls cooked up a plan to have a contest, and they got Hattie Mae to go along with it by convincing her that they wanted to hear more about 1918. Now I want you to think about how the newspapers from 1918 got delivered, even though it's 1936. So what did she say happened? We know that Billy Clayton delivers the newspapers, and she said he must not read what he's delivering. So they convinced Hattie Mae that they wanted to know more about 1918, so have people write in and share in their best handwriting, their best memory of 1918. Now, do you think they really, really want to know about 1918? Or do you think they really, really want to see everyone's handwriting? So think on that, look up a Victrola, and I'll see you soon.